college football all day. It's a Football Friday right here on The Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen, and Stevenson Sylvester normally sitting with us on a Football Friday, but they are calling a football game on a Football Friday. It's the second state semifinal for the 6A side of things, right? Lone Peak and Sky Ridge, right? This is the second time they've played this year. Alex Napolis, our producer, give us an update on the score here, brother, so I know what's going on with this in the game. Wow, Lone Peak is going to play Corner Canyon for the state championship, huh? That's a nice little low-scoring that's some low-scoring football right there. We'll see if that can continue. Got to play good defense. The only team that beat Corner Canyon this year, Lone Peak, right? And so, here in the state of Utah, I don't know if they played outside of the state, and I know they won that game in Florida, but I don't know. I think Lone Peak was the only team that beat Corner Canyon. So nice little matchup between two teams out of down there in the southern part of the valley in Salt Lake County and then northern Utah County. Neighbors right across the old mountain there. They did. They could just throw a stone over the old mountain and you hit Lone Peak from Corner Canyon over there. So there you go. Hey, we got lots going on. We're at Kenny J's here in at the district in South Jordan. Easy enough to find us right next to the Megaplex Theater here. We've got a Football Friday going on here. Mitch Harper, nice enough to join today. Mitch, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Enjoying all this good food. Hard to pass this up.
It is pretty hard to pass up. Last hour we were chatting with Steve Bartle, who, of course, covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. He's down in Waco for Baylor and Utah. And, I think BYU fans, you tell me, Mitch, what the feeling is, because this is a matchup that over the years, BYU hasn't beaten TCU since 2007. It's not like they've played them on a super consistent basis since then, but it's just not a team that it just comes up as a little bit of a bugaboo. Like it's kind of gets in the craw of the old BYU fan who goes, TCU, huh? Ooh, I hate those guys, because they have a history of beating BYU, including a couple of years ago, their first year in the Big 12. And frankly, they were losing everybody that year, it seemed like. But that was like the start of a really bad stretch because they lost 44-11 to this very quarterback, Josh Hoover. Does it happen again? Or what are we seeing out of Josh Hoover this year versus what they saw back in 2023?
Well, I think the biggest thing, first off, is that people got to remind themselves that losses happen. I think fans are a little bit still kind of in independence mode where you lose one and then it feels like the season's lost. Yeah. Everything's still in front of this BYU team. And last year I thought BYU kind of reverted back to their independent ways when they went to Arizona State and for the first 30 minutes just no-showed. And then Tyler Batty had to have an impassioned speech that was leaked to inspire the team.
TMZ. So exclusive. BYU defensive end says a cuss word.
Because I bring that up because it does feel like outside the building, fans are just like, well, BYU dropped the ball again, where it's like, that's not the case.
But there's a little bit of this feeling, too, that it doesn't help that the CFP and the vibe that BYU and teams – like, it honestly is like, it's not that the season's over after a loss. It's that the season's over when, like, all the pundits go, yeah, BYU wasn't even any good. Right? I mean, that's honestly what happened over the past week.
To drop 5 spots is insane because you should not have fell behind Texas, who has a loss to a 3-6 team, and I think there's an argument to be made that they should be above Notre Dame. Even though I'm one of those people that do believe that Notre Dame is legit, I think they're one of the 5 best teams in college football this year, still – you lost 2 games, and that should matter, and 1 is better than 2. That should mean something. But still, I think with this matchup in TCU and BYU, I think BYU matches up really well. Now, I think, though, TCU is the second-best rush defense in Big 12 games this year. And I think that's something to me that really catches my attention. Can BYU get at least 150 rushing yards or more? That's what I want to see, because when BYU's living in that space, that's their identity. And Aaron Roderick talked about how they want to get back to their identity this week. Well, to do that, you better run the ball effectively. TCU, they have some flaws at times defensively, but stopping the run, they're one of the best in the Big 12. Oddly enough, BYU 13th in stopping the run in the Big 12 this year, where you would think they're one of the best, but really the last 5 or 6 games, BYU has not been great stopping the run. So that to me is going to be a key area of focus is can BYU get L.J. Martin and Bear Bachmeier rolling on the ground. And if they can do that, they're going to win this ball game. If they can't run the football, they could lose, and it could be a real discouraging night in a late night spot where you go, okay, Arlington's gone, and then opens the door for Utah to step in, and that's kind of a double whammy of sorts, too,
for BYU.
Yeah. So I think this is an important game, and I think a lot of it hinges on running the football and getting L.J. Martin and Bear Bachmeier going on the ground.
What about the pass game? Because I know that, BYU's only throwing for 210 yards a game, but they have such weapons, and you talked about how JoJo Phillips, his name came up so much. That poor guy last week comes off of an injury after breaking
Desmond
his
Howard's
collarbone.
going, my big storyline is JoJo Phillips. I'm thinking to myself,
why?
Clearly Aaron Roderick told you this because there is no way that Dez is pulling out a guy that hasn't played since September 6th.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is he plays the second week of the season, and then you go, oh, and you haven't seen him since, and then he comes back, and look, the drop last week that was out in the middle of everybody be able to see it, that was a bad drop. Chase had some uncharacteristic kind of drops as well. He just didn't look 100%. Where is it that this team is then this week, do you think, in their preparation? Because it seemed like a lot of last week was actually a mental situation, too, for BYU.
I agree, and I think they'll operate at a higher level this week because TCU's pass defense isn't great. Their run defense has been good this year, particularly in Big 12 games, but pass defense, they've been prone to giving up yardage. You look at TCU's pass defense giving up 241 per game through the air. So I think BYU has some opportunities there. Well, one personnel note, Cody Hagan, doubtful for the game, which was interesting because I did see him at practice suited up coming off the field on Tuesday and looked like he was no green jersey or anything like that, but
what did
listed as doubtful.
Did he get banged up on a return or something like that in the game, or is it?
That's possibly it happened in that Texas Tech game, but he is listed as doubtful. So then you turn to Roberts, Kingston, and JoJo, and all three of those guys, to your point earlier, they all had moments where they kind of let BYU down. Kingston with the muff punt.
Yeah.
Chase with a deep ball where he drops the ball. JoJo Phillips and his drop. So those three guys all kind of have to have a bounce-back performance, and I think they will. Now, TCU, though, has some good secondary players. Bud Clark, one of the best safeties in the Big 12. But they don't have as many takeaways as, say, a Texas Tech. And so that's, again, where I think if BYU takes care of the football, getting back to that identity, and it all ties back to the run game, I think that's where BYU can open things up in the passing attack. But to me, it all starts establishing the run, because when this team becomes one-dimensional or one aspect of a game doesn't work for BYU, it seems like it can all come off the tracks for BYU. It's a complementary football team in every sense of the word, and I think that ground attack has got to get rolling early and often.
You and I, of course, do our Big 12 program during the week, 1st and 12. You can go download the podcast, listen to our conversations. Now, this week we weren't able to make our power poll, and so let's kind of do this and walk through it together here. Obviously, Texas Tech is number one in this conference, and it's not by a close margin for everybody. When you look at it, you go, look, this is the best team. One, because the two teams behind them in our power polls are BYU and Utah, two teams who they blew the freaking doors off of. Mm-hmm. So Texas Tech, nobody's going to question that. Is BYU the second best team in this conference? Is it Utah? Because right now, I think you have a lot of people who'd say Utah's playing way better football than anybody else besides Texas Tech maybe in the conference. Do you agree with that?
BYU's still the second best team because, one, they beat Utah.
Yeah, they had the head.
And but when you do forecast ahead, I think there's a little bit more, higher ceiling potentially to Utah. But Utah's dropped 2 games. I still would lean BYU as the number 2 team right now because, again, I think everyone in college football is afforded one loss. It's so difficult to go undefeated in this sport anymore. One loss, we're going to learn a lot about BYU.
If it's the
this
SEC,
weekend.
though, if it's the SEC, you're afforded 3 losses.
Yes.
All right.
That's a great point because Tuesday night, the playoff rankings, Reese Davis just making a case, hey, Texas, even if they lose, if they're close against, Alabama, there's a real argument for 9-3. Are you kidding me?
Is there really an argument?
Like if it's a 24-team playoff, okay, great. Have a 9-3 team, I'm fine with that. But 12-team playoff, no. You cannot have 9-3 football teams in the 12-team playoff. I don't care the strength or the depth of the SEC. No, there's no way that can be the case for a 3-loss team. Not a chance.
There's just no, but on top of that, right? Like Texas, you look at, and I think it was Rick Neuheisel who made this point earlier this week. He goes, this Texas team was 5 quarters removed from when they were about to lose to Mississippi State down in Starkville, by the way, a team who's only won 1 game in the SEC, which is also the same thing that Florida has done this year. Win 1 game in the SEC, and then their second win in the SEC over Texas, right? Yep. But no one talks about that Florida loss. No one talks about it.
Nope.
Why does no one talk about the Florida loss?
It blows me away because that's a 3-6 team. That should be just anchoring down a resume for a team. That would be the case for a Big 12 team. If Texas Tech lost, say, this week to UCF, they're done. If UCF beat Texas Tech, it's over for the Red Raiders. It wouldn't be, the eye test still shows that Texas Tech's a good team. No, it'd be done because for whatever reason, the Big 12 just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. I think that's where I'm just leaning more and more as this process continues to evolve with these 12-team playoffs. Give me a playoff that just has 24 teams, 4 automatic bids for each Power 4 team, and then let's settle it on the field. I'm telling you, you get a BYU and a Utah, get these teams hosted to come to Provo and Salt Lake. They're not going to come out with wins, most of these opponents. And then we're going to start to learn who really is the best conferences in the sport because this whole hypotheticals and playing within your league, because the strength of these resumes for a team like Texas is all coming from within the SEC, whereas when they did step out of their league, they lose, and they didn't play that great. They didn't even look good against UTEP. So I think it's hard to really gauge the strength of these teams until you get to a field that is like 24 teams. And I know it sounds crazy for football, but I think that's the direction it's got to go. When people say, no way can you have a 24-team playoff, why? Because I'm tired of these hypotheticals and the goalposts being moved. Let's settle it on the field. Let's play it all out there. And as long as you give equal automatic bids to each conference, I'm game for it. I think that would be great.
BYU or Texas Tech 1, BYU 2, Utah 3, and then I think the next thing to determine is whether or not you think Arizona State's better than Cincinnati. Cincinnati still has the 1 loss in conference play, by the way. If we're at home keeping score, why is no one talking about Cincinnati? They found their way into the top 25 polls. In the college football playoff this week, and I know that everybody's thinking about that loss that they had against Utah because it made it feel like that they weren't definitely not a contender, but BYU had a bad loss at Texas Tech. So I don't know. Do you look and say Arizona State's better than Cincinnati or the other way around?
I think Arizona State's got a better defense, one. In Arizona State, you can knock them without Sam Leavitt, but ASU just, no matter who their personnel is, they show up. And Cincinnati – it was, even for BYU, I know they got blown out, but, they go in the half, it's 13-0, and BYU's defense showed up in stretches against Tech, whereas Cincinnati, it was just a beatdown through in all phases from start to finish against Utah. And, Cincinnati's schedule has been a little bit lighter than some of the teams in front of them as well. So
what do they have the rest of the way, by the way, Cincinnati, in terms of – because I know that their schedule is going to make a difference. I mean –
Arizona this week, that's going to be very tough. That's a
you know what?
game.
Arizona's been
6-3,
really good so far.
And since he's got BYU next week,
obviously BYU's got to go to Cincinnati. How tough of a go is that? I know we're looking a little bit too far ahead, but going to Nippert Stadium out there in Cincinnati, what's that look like?
Oh, sure, that'll be difficult. I think the big question on Cincy too is their running back Evan Pryor. He's questionable. He missed the Utah game. He's questionable for the Arizona game. If they get him back, I think that changes the outlook for them a bit, but if he stays out, I think that makes them – it goes all on the shoulders of Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback. They need Evan Pryor, their star running back, to be back in the lineup because they had no ground attack without Pryor when they faced Utah. So Cincinnati's got a tough stretch, but most of it is at home these next 2 weeks.
Houston took that bad loss, of course, a couple of weeks ago when they lost to West Virginia. They're coming off of a bye week, and I don't know if Houston is still right there. I mean, Arizona has been making strides. I think they've been quietly better than people thought they were going to be. Right? I mean, Arizona is definitely better than teams I think than even Iowa State was this close to losing 5 games in a row until they came back in the fourth quarter against TCU last week.
Yeah, Arizona hung tough with BYU. They hung tough with Houston. I mean, this could be an 8-1 football team if you win those 2 games.
Yeah,
we're talking about
true.
6-3, so that margin is very thin. Winning close games in the Big 12 takes you from solid season to great season, and maybe Arizona, after just crushing Colorado a couple weeks ago, they got some momentum behind them, but again, they've kind of had their successes against the inferior teams, which is no easy task in the Big 12 because anyone can get you on any given week, but they've clearly made progress to the point where you say head coach Brent Brennan is definitely, I think, off the hot seat, because I think there was questions about that last year.
Matt Campbell's not going to be on the hot seat at Iowa State, but they were really close to losing 5 games in a row, like I said. What is Iowa State's situation right now? What is their real problem? Is it just the mental mistakes that they're making, or where's the real kind of they haven't been able to turn that corner, and they've in fact taken a pretty big step backward from last year when they were in the conference championship game?
A lot of turnovers. Iowa State has had a lot of miscues that have given opportunities. Even in a win last week against TCU, they had a lot of mistakes. So that's been kind of the theme for Iowa State, is that it's a team that is really talented, and you feel like they should be a top 5 team in the Big 12, but they've had a lot of head-scratching miscues. And they only had 272 yards of offense in that win against TCU. So TCU just had a lot more mistakes even than Iowa State did in that game. So, Iowa State's still kind of a team that's solid. They're now bowl eligible, which is always a good thing, I think, for that program that historically hasn't been to bowl games much. But they were looking to take a bigger step this year and be in contention to go win the thing. They were in the Big 12 championship game last year, and this has been a huge step back year this season.
So Houston and Arizona, 6-7. See what I did
yes.
there?
Well done.
I actually hate myself. I apologize, Kenny. That made me actually. But you know what? It got Connor. It got Connor going. It got Mitch going. Yep. All right. We're talking about young guys trying to reach out to the younger crowd here. All right. Then we've got Iowa State 8, TCU 9, Baylor at 10. I don't know what to think of the.
You could fade them maybe even further.
You really could. I don't know. Kansas State, one of the biggest question marks in the entire conference so far this year. And then we start to get into the doldrums here. West Virginia at 12. Kansas is a surprising 13. Although, should we be surprised? It's not like Kansas has ever shown us anything in the past 5 decades of watching these guys. I just don't. I have no idea what to think of Kansas. Is Lance Leipold on the hot seat? Or is he maybe looking around for maybe another job, or maybe he could walk out get a nod at a place like Wisconsin that Luke Fickell might be wearing out his welcome at, and Wisconsin feels like they have enough money to get the buyout going on Lance Leipold?
I would say no, because it feels like the chain always turns to, okay, if you have a dip year where you're expected to do some great things, what's the first course of action? Fire the coordinators. And
okay.
That's kind of what I would expect this year.
Wasn't Jeff Grimes, wasn't he at Kansas for a hot minute?
He was. Then he goes to Wisconsin, and they
How'd
moved on
go?
from him.
Okay.
And so maybe it does center on Leipold, but I think that they give him one more run, because still, Kansas, even though they're low on these power rankings, they're still 5-5. Like you tell a Kansas fan 15 years ago, hey, you're going to be 5-5.
Right.
Oh yeah, sign me up.
Well, but they also, and they're still recruiting pretty well.
Yeah.
And they got this new stadium rebuild, and it looks good. And there's an energy around them, just doesn't match the winning.
They've got money too. I mean, that David Booth guy donated, what was it, hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, they've got money to spend. So.
UCF at 14, Colorado 15, Oklahoma State 16. Oklahoma State, we put them at 16 because you can't put them at 18, because that's kind of really where I have them in.
Colorado's been the biggest disappointment, though. I think, no question. I mean, 3-7.
Talk about a forgettable rest of the year. Like they were going, and they were going okay, and then I don't know. Did you see Juju Lewis's hair get pulled out last week when he was sacked? They had like the shot on the field of that big wad of hair, which, by the way, it's part of the jersey.
Yeah.
It's part of the uniform. I don't know what to think, though. UCF is one of those opponents that BYU still has to face. And I don't know what to think of Scott Frost's team, because they have some like talented guys here and there, but they're not a real serious threat.
You look at this when you tie it to the local teams. Utah's remaining schedule: Baylor, K-State, and Kansas, all 10 spots or the double digits in our power rankings. I do think, to your point earlier, what you asked Steve, style points are going to matter against these teams for the Utes. Like, if you have the chance, if you're Whittingham, you got to put your foot on the gas and go beat someone by 40 if you can.
45 per.
Like, if you can. If it's in reach, like, if you want to get to the playoff, you got to add some style points and not take any chance to make it closer than it needs to be. Sportsmanship has to go out the door, I think. I really do, because I think you got to put
say
those,
less to Utah. To Utah, say less. Well, let me ask you this: do you think they have those kind of conversations in their meetings? And he goes, Jason, put the foot down, put it on the neck, and don't let up. We need to kill these dudes. Like, let's go.
K-State's the only team that maybe could give them some headaches, but that's in Salt Lake.
I still don't know what to think. The rest of the year, so I mean, BYU going 3-0 over the next 3 weeks is a pretty tall order too. I think.
Yeah, no question. I mean,
you got TCU, then you have to go to Cincinnati, which I don't know. It's not like you look and you go, man, what a tough place to play. But Cincinnati's also been one of the better teams in the entire conference this year, and they've been certainly a shock to the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, good offense, and again, when you dive into the numbers on BYU's defense, they have not been great stopping the run. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what you thought would be the calling card for BYU this year. And that's been an area where they've been attacked. And then you also pair up the special teams for BYU. I was looking at it today, 15th in the Big 12 in field goal percentage. I mean, you think Will Farron's automatic, but he's in Big 12 play. He has not. So all three phases are not working at the highest level for BYU right now. They've got the potential, but yeah, you could go to Cincinnati and absolutely lose, and Cincy could be on its path to go into the Big 12 title game. So a lot of football left to be played.
We'll come back. We got more to go right around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All college football all day. It's a Football Friday right here on the Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. Football Fridays right here on the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Mitch Harper right here with you. Mitch, of course, filling in for JJ, who's been calling games with Sly, of course, up at Rice-Eccles Stadium. They're probably wiping the sweat off the brow after a couple of long days of semifinal games up there. And we've just gone final with the last one there. Annapolis, did it end up, 13-7 in favor of Lone Peak? Oh, and but they probably have another 5A game that they've got to figure out tonight too, right? Isn't that what's another 4A? Sorry, okay. Okay, and Ridgeline's the class of the 4A folks, right? They're gonna kind of roll to an easy victory in the state championships in 4A, or it'd be a shock if they lost, right?
It would be a shock. They are the number one for a reason.
They've got all the 4-star talent. Crew Jones. I mean,
Crew Jones is a guy from Ridgeline. Is he going to BYU? Did he commit to the Cougs?
He's got like a top 7 or 8. BYU's in the mix, and he's taken some visits to BYU. He's a top priority for them in their 2027 cycle. That's for sure.
Okay, there you go. Let me see here. We got our predictions here. Before we get to it, though, Jake and Ben are going to be up in Ogden. Their weekly visit to Bellis & Jewelry. 10 to noon on Tuesday. Go check it out up there. Bellis & Jewelry's 1155 36th Street in Ogden, just right across from Weber State. Locally made just for you, cherished for generations. It's Bellis & Jewelry. You can find Jake and Ben on Tuesday up at Bellis, and they've been there all season long. Okay, let's get to some predictions here. We'll start with some of the bigger dogs and work our way up to the local ones. I say the bigger dogs is in like the ones that are of national interest. Now, Texas going to Georgia. You've never been a bigger Bulldogs fan if you're a fan of Utah or BYU. You want to see Texas lose as much as possible before the end of the season, and certainly there in Athens is one of those places that could be a big L for the folks there in Texas.
And I think it will be. I think Georgia wins this game. Now, Georgia's not
They haven't been the Kirby Smart, perfect Georgia Bulldogs that we've seen in the past.
The defensive side, like personnel-wise, they're still excellent. But defensively, they're just not as maybe nasty as you've kind of grown to expect from Kirby Smart's Georgia teams. But I'll go with the Bulldogs to get it done. I think they win by 10+. I think this will be a sound victory and make it clear Texas doesn't belong in the 12-team playoff.
I bet if they lost by a couple touchdowns there in Athens, people would go, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. And again, Texas has got to face Georgia, and then they have to host Texas A&M the last game of the year, which, by the way, it's wild to think. Growing up in that part of that part of the country, when Texas and Texas A&M played, first of all, you talk about a big brother, little brother complex. And it's definitely Texas A&M being the little brother. And they definitely, right now, are in a place they are not used to being. They are undefeated, top of the college football playoff rankings right behind the two undefeated Big Ten teams. And not only are they controlling their own destiny here, they're more talented than that Texas team. I could see Texas getting 2 more losses before the end of the season. I go Texas losing to Georgia as well. I'm hoping for a 2-touchdown loss. Speaking of the other team, that's another 2-loss SEC team. Oklahoma goes to Alabama. Give credit to Kalen DeBoer, who has been under fire like crazy. And after they lost against Florida State and people wanted to just kick him to the curb, they've done only the type of stuff that Nick Saban does, which is just rip off win after win in the SEC. Are they going to be able to beat up Oklahoma as they come to Tuscaloosa this weekend?
I'm tempted to go an upset here. I'm really high on Oklahoma.
You're a big Mateer guy?
I like Oklahoma's personnel a lot. You know what? I'll go with it. I'll say Oklahoma pulls off the upset. I know Cougar fans and Ute fans don't want that to happen, but let's say Oklahoma pulls off an upset in Tuscaloosa. Hate it. They got the win last year over Alabama, remember? And that basically knocked out the Crimson Tide. I'll say the Sooners get it done in only their second visit to Tuscaloosa.
All right, I don't hate it. Notre Dame at Pitt. Now, interestingly enough, Pitt has rattled off 7 wins in a row. Pat Narduzzi, one of the biggest weirdos in college football coaching, this week was asked about this game. Did you hear his comments about this game? And he goes, no, it's not a must-win for us. It's not a conference game. Who cares? We lose this game by 50. We still have to play. I was like, Narduzzi, come on, man. You got to act like you want to win this game. And by the way, maybe he's trying to soft pedal this thing. Notre Dame, this is the last real big push, I think, from a team that they're going to get because they have such a friggin' Charmin soft schedule the rest of the way through here. Notre Dame goes to Pitt, and they play there at Pitt. Do you think this one could happen for Pat Narduzzi and his guys, or do you think Notre Dame's too good?
I think Notre Dame's too good. I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish, but it would be cool for Big 12 fans to play the transitive property game and say West Virginia is better than Notre Dame. Because, because West Virginia, one of the worst teams in the Big 12, beat Pitt, and then to play that whole game.
God bless West Virginia.
God bless the Mountaineers. But I think that's not going to happen, and Notre Dame cruises. I think this is going to get ugly for Pitt.
I'm going to say Pitt at home, riding the 7-game win streak, knowing that everybody is just loving on Jeremiah Love. I think Pitt gets the win there at home.
Okay.
And it's weird, too, because they're 12.5-point dogs at home. Double-digit, almost 2-touchdown dogs at home to TCU. To Notre Dame. That's kind of crazy to me. Next up, Utah State goes to UNLV in a battle for trying to get to bowl eligibility for Bronco. I like Bronco, what he's done this year with Utah State. Do they have enough to be able to get there, though, Mitch?
This one's tough. UNLV 7-2 this year in Vegas at home. I'm going to go with the Rebs. But you're right. I think Bronco Mendenhall, he's going to have Utah State in the thick of Pac-12 races in future years for the Aggies.
That sounds so weird to say, right?
I know. He's going to have them in the mix, though, at Utah State. It'll just be kind of a question of, can he get it to the mountaintop for the Aggies? But this has been a solid first year. But I'm going to go with UNLV here. I think Dan Mullen, when you talk about the coaching carousel, I think he's going to be someone that lands one of these big jobs. Everywhere he goes, he wins. He took Mississippi State once upon a time to a #1 ranking, and he's got UNLV rolling
on the back of Dak Prescott.
UNLV's 7-2. I think the Rebs get it done in Vegas.
I could see Bronco going in there and Bryson Barnes just having one of his signature 180-yard rushing, 175-yard passing game, gets 2 touchdowns in each category. I'm going to say Utah State goes down there and gets bowl eligible because I don't think UNLV is actually that good.
I love it. I mean, Miles Davis, former BYU running back, he's been solid.
He's running like crazy
for the Aggies this year. More than 600 yards, and then former Ute Bryson Barnes, the pig farmer. Really some decent numbers for him this season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because Bronco, one thing he does know, he gets to bowl games. He gets to the postseason wherever he coaches, and what a breakthrough that would be if they could get this done. But I just think UNLV's got more speed, more talent on the defensive side to kind of keep Utah State in check, but it should be a good one.
Fun one down there at Allegiant Stadium. Now let's go to BYU versus TCU. The Horned Frogs come to Provo. It's been a minute since they've been in Provo playing a football game. Josh Hoover, of course, beat the Cougs last time he played them, but that was seemingly ages ago compared to where these teams are now. Where do you have this one, Mitch?
I've got BYU. I think it'll be, I don't think this will be a game in the 30s. I think it's played kind of in the 20s. I got a BYU 27, TCU 21. I could see, BYU maybe, needing a fourth quarter touchdown, maybe being down 21-20, and Bear needs to pull off something midway through the fourth, and he gets that touchdown to put BYU in front and get that win. But I think the Cougs get it done and improve to 9-1 with two left. What about you?
I think the offense last week was like, we got to figure out who we are, and we know who we are. We can figure some things out. I think that's what you're going to get from some of these guys. And I think BYU is going to get to the 30s, and I think they're going to win by 10 over this TCU team. I'm going to go 30-20, right straight up, 30-20 in favor of the Cougs down there in Provo. Finally, Utah going to Baylor. Waco playing host to Utah. I want to say a couple of years ago. Remember when they barely eked that one out, speaking of the pig farmer down there?
Which was also
in 130 degrees or whatever it was down there.
And that one was also against Sawyer Robertson. I remember he had 2 picks in that game 2 years ago in Waco. I think the field was, 120 degrees?
I just remember Sly being like, if they ever have this game in September again down here, I'm refusing to go. So there you got it. It's a November game down there at Baylor, and they're going through all sorts of stuff off the field, and Utah – is just absolutely rolling. Does that change it all this weekend?
No. I don't trust this Baylor team. They haven't been good at home against quality opponents this year. I think the UCF game where they had some success and held the Knights to only 3 points, I don't buy into that. I think UCF just got a bad offense. Baylor's defense is not good. I think Utah wins by at least 3 touchdowns. This could be a 30-point win. I really do. I think Utah cruises comfortably. Because I think also, Baylor offensively pretty explosive. But, again, you wonder about all the off-the-field distractions. What does that play into this team? I mean, you have a player in Michael Trigg, your leading receiver, is at the center of an AD getting dismissed. It's got to be a little awkward and a little bit of a distraction. And Baylor's still fighting to get to a bowl game. So is that enough motivation to get this team motivated for a spot where – this season feels lost. They were looking for a Big 12 title, not just to get to a bowl game. Mm-hmm. I think Utah wins big.
I'm going to stay in that 21-point frame that you just queued up there. I'm going to say 38-21. 38-17 in favor of Utah down there at Baylor. So there you go. There are our predictions right there. We'll come right back. We've got more to go. We've got our best and worst. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for Utah Mammoth hockey coming up top of the hour as well. Stay here with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All college football, all day. It's a Football Friday right here on the Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Best and worst on the program as we wrap things up here on a Football Friday, brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. They're going to take care of you there. Speaking of taking care of you, our best and worst has time for just one of the best. You ready for this? It's been officially put out there by ESPN and all the other networks that are out there that are a part of this, but YouTube TV and the Walt Disney family have come to a nice big old agreement. Mitch, what are we looking like here? Multi-platform, all the companies under one umbrella.
Where's the
extended?
Martinelli?
Yeah, man, bust it out. Let's go. Well, we got to turn this guy on. What number is this guy? 2? 6? All right, there you go.
Multi-year distribution agreement with YouTube TV has been official through Walt Disney Company.
There we go.
Full suite of networks is going to be restored to YouTube TV subscribers immediately.
Okay. Let's get Kenny going on here.
Should I turn on we got
Let's
YouTube TV. Should I see if we got ESPN on there?
See if we got it.
I will right after this.
Kenny, thanks for having us, man. We're out of time here, but let's give out that number for people to pre-order their smoked turkeys, man. Let's do it again.
801-230-5396.
801-230
5396.
Yep. So people can take advantage and get it going. And thanks for having us today, man. As usual, it's been awesome. We love being able to come in. I've
been waiting to meet Mitch Harper.
I know, man.
The Mitch Harper. I've heard him for years on the radio.
That's actually what we call him at the office is the Mitch Harper.
Yeah.
Is the Mitch Harper going to be there today? Absolutely. Absolutely.
You go.
Hockey coming up next. Mitch, thanks again, man. Connor, thanks for hitting the buttons. And our producer, Alex Snapolis, will be back again on Monday. We'll be back tomorrow for College Football Saturday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.